So, at this very moment much in time, at this moment very much in time, at this moment in time, um, there is indeed a active and very real attempt by the Brexiteers, and let me just stress, it is very, very much by the Brexiteers to try and rewrite the entire history of Brexit. Just recently, you had Daniel Hannan come out and say that it was a stupid idea for the UK to leave the single market. Now, remember, Daniel Hannan's trajectory went from in 2016 saying that a vote for leave would not be a vote to leave the single market and customs union to after the referendum going full tilt into saying that the UK must perform a complete no deal Brexit because we shouldn't be afraid of it. And a clean Brexit, as it was called back then, would be an amazing thing for the UK. And an Australian style Brexit would also be good for the UK. All, shall we say, terms used to describe a no deal Brexit, which would have been absolutely disastrous for the UK. Only to now, just a few weeks ago, well, last week, comes out and says, yeah, it was a dumb idea to leave the single market customs union. Where was he 2 years ago in those Brexit discussions saying that? He wasn't. This is a very, very clear attempt by certain Brexiteers, not just Daniel Hannan, but we're about to get into, of course, David Davis, to try and explain away why Brexit isn't working. Because it's been 6 years almost. And remember, Brexit isn't working. You've had Piers Morgan, who said, I voted to remain, but we should respect it, to come out and now say, well, you know what? It's been 6 years, guys, and if you haven't proved that Brexit's working, maybe we should start talking about it again. And even if when Piers Morgan is saying that, you're sort of in trouble. And remember, even the Daily Mail, the Express, a lot of these pro-Brexit newspapers are now even starting to question not all of the benefits of Brexit, but really start to hit upon a lot of the promises that people like David Davis made about how wonderful, of course, Brexit would be. And why are they doing this? Well, I think it's damage limitation. Almost certainly is one thing in one key case. I think they are desperate to try and say, when Brexit fails, and it does look like it is failing very, very badly at this moment. This is why we're seeing so much desperation among so many Brexiteers to, quote, get Brexit done. Yeah. But didn't we have an entire election to get Brexit done? Didn't Boris get Brexit done with his oven-ready deal? So again, they're trying to set the stage that it wasn't their fault, and if only they had been listened to, we would have got a proper Brexit. So we're going to go over in just a moment to have a look at what David Davis has had to say about Ireland and Brexit. And trust me, it's a real doozy. But before we do that, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a motivation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel. So this comes from Politico, at least where we had the interview where these comments come from. So the title is David Davis said that Ireland's Brexit scars could take a decade to heal. So let's see what he had to say. So the former Brexit Secretary David Davis had said that it could take a decade to solve the Irish border crisis created by Britain's departure from the EU. It really wouldn't. It would just rejoin the single market, no border problem. That's it. That's it. That's how you solve the problem. But we will again. We're going to get into something later what he says, but Remember, the position of Leave in the 2016 referendum was that we would be leaving the EU politically, but staying in, of course, in the single market and customs union. Remember, not only will we remain in the single market customs union, but we'll get this amazing sweetheart deal for staying in the single market customs union. They're all saying all kinds of weird and wacky, crazy stuff to try and get enough people to vote for them as much as they possibly could. So, anyway, he continues. Speaking to Politico's Westminster Insider podcast, the Tory Brexiteer and former UK negotiator admitted that both sides during the 2016 referendum campaign had underestimated the impact of Brexit upon the island of Ireland. No, David, no. The Remain side did not underestimate the impact that this was going to have on the island of Ireland. We were the only ones who were bringing this up. And when we were bringing this up, the problems of course, well, where do you put the border? What about, the potential of like returning sectarial violence in Northern Ireland? The answer came back was, oh, don't worry, we've got the answer for that. And especially to, of course, the violence question was, that's just Project Fear. No, we were bringing this up as potential problems. And when we were again and again asking, if you are going to do this, this will cause this problem. How are you going to solve this problem? There was no answer to that question. It was just Project Fear, or that won't happen, or it's all in hand, or that won't be an issue, as Katie Hoey once said about the Northern Ireland question. So anyway, it continues. He said, I don't think people saw all the outcomes there, Davis said. I think it's a fair criticism of the overall debate. No, people did see what the outcome was going to be there very, very clearly. We were bringing this up intentionally. So this is not both sides got it wrong. No, we were very much in the right on this argument. And unfortunately so, very much so. Davis said that he accepts that many of the Brexit espoused by the Leave campaign have still to be realised, but that the COVID pandemic has largely been to blame. Of course, blame all the problems of Brexit on COVID, when, if you may remember, go back to 2019, when we saw the pandemic coming. Hey guys, maybe we should wait and hold off of doing Brexit, because that pandemic thing looks pretty serious. But no, pushed on ahead because they are trying desperately to cover any damage at that time that Brexit might have done. So, okay, we'll do it. And any damage, well, we can just blame it on COVID. Trust me, they are going to be blaming the pandemic for years. Even now, during our cost of living crisis, the fact that we have one of the poorest performing economies in Europe, let alone in the G7, Brexit is the key underlier for that, why we are doing so badly. And yet they daren't say it because, it's their precious Brexit, it's their precious product, and they've got no answer, because there was no answer. It was, we will do Brexit and then somehow we will win. That's not a legitimate answer to bring up to a serious question like this. Anyway, we'll continue on with his comments. Yes. It's largely recoverable, he said. I mean, Ireland is going to take a long time. It's going to take a decade to get right, I think. Maybe I'm wrong about a decade, but it's going to take years. Davis suggested his former boss, Theresa May, had made strategic errors that allowed the Irish issue to dominate the debate, conceding too much ground to the EU on sequencing of the Brexit negotiations back in 2016. I was shut out, basically, he said. Number 10 was running a parallel policy. They're all Remainers. You'd expect it. He was the guy in charge of negotiations. The very in Michel Barnier's book, Barnier talks about how Davis would turn up with no paper, no documents, not even a pen or a pencil to write stuff down. This is blame shifting. This is, I didn't do anything wrong. Brexit isn't my fault. If only people had listened to me, Brexit would have been done right. This is what we're going to be seeing more and more of. I can guarantee you that. Anyway, he continues saying, they took the view that being ultra reasonable would deliver the result, and it didn't. I'm not saying that somehow she wasn't some sort of traitor to the cause. She wasn't. It's a mindset. David Davis, of course, continuing to be, well, David Davis, and quite frankly, well, continues to be awful. He never really had a clue when he was the Brexit guy in charge of the Brexit negotiations. Could you imagine him if he'd actually stayed and continued not only to be maybe Theresa May's Brexit negotiator, but instead of Lord Frost, we'd got David Davis. And imagine now, David Davis coming out with these comments if that had been the case. Yeah, it's not my problem. Parallel negotiations, mate. That's the real problem. They didn't trust me to do the negotiations right. Expect more of this. I definitely say expect more of this. Farage is already at it as well, saying, oh, the Brexit we've got now, not the one that we said we would be given by the Leave campaign. Of course, again, if we were getting the Brexit by the Leave campaign, it would actually be a very, very soft Brexit. Like I say, we'd have left politically, but we would have remained very much in the single market and customs union. And again, the Northern Ireland issue wouldn't be an issue, But I'll repeat this again. This is not a both sides got this question wrong. Remain got it right. We said that there would be a problem. We said that if you did this, how are you going to solve this problem? This has been a problem since day one. The Brexiteers, like David Davis, refused to admit that it was a problem, thinking that, again, they would get some magical solution or somehow the EU would just fold and give them everything that they want. That was never, ever going to happen. Not in their wildest fantasies. Only that, solution could exist. But of course, it's a fantasy. And one thing that we always said, even back then, when Brexit meets reality, reality will always win. And now they are desperately, desperately, desperately trying to rewrite the past to avoid that collision with the reality that they've had. They have basically had a car crash. They've got out of the car and are going, gee, someone sure crashed a car here. We must find this person at once. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can buy me a coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.